Chris, I want to thank you so much for joining us here at KoSA. It's a real pleasure to have someone like you that I can have this conversation with. I mean, I want to ask you a couple of questions about, first, more of a technical kind of thing. You know, we were talking about earlier, I was mentioning about developing a touch, developing a really nice sound with the instruments you play. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned to you, I really love the way you play cymbals. Yeah, but it's a velvet kind of touch. What are you thinking, and how do you develop that? Was that a purposeful thing? Because you are a fairly large person. I wouldn't say large, but you're not a petite person with small hands. Okay. So one would think the sound coming out of you naturally would be just bang. Right. But you have such great dynamics and nuance. Can you talk about that?
I was always told that in order to appreciate the loud, you know, we have to fall in love with the soft, you know. And my parents, my grandparents, they would, you know, growing up in church, they were right over there, so I couldn't bash. So I had to learn how to play all the stuff I played quiet. When we had an opportunity to play and go for it, I could be, you know, right in and play with energy and play, you know, with a greater dynamic. But a lot of the stuff I had to learn how to play. I had to learn how to play it underneath a voice, you know, and my grandfather was on the radio, and the way we recorded was I'd had to play the whole, you know, whole track, the intros and all that under him talking. So we had to sing a song, like he'd be talking. So I learned that early, and then I got into jazz, and I got into all of that, and it felt natural already, you know. One thing too, playing other instruments, you learn, like, I remember when I first started playing the bass, I was playing so hard, and my teachers would be like, dude, it's not drums, you know. And I actually got a better tone by softening up. And I tried to take that approach to drums, and I found out I can get more tones out of the drums. I can actually hear that note, that pitch, you know, by playing a softer dynamic. So my thing is I try to work on it all. You know, I try to play loud, fast, and strong, and then I try to play just as intense and quiet and slow, you know.
Right, and it's always nice to see that you're not killing the instrument, because sometimes we get into funny mode that it has to be loud, and for it to be loud, of course we have to play loud sometimes in the context, but loud doesn't mean killing the instrument and breaking the ears when there's distortion. You can hear when it's distorting. We should be able to hear. We want to be able to have certain kind of finesse, which you have certainly, and it's nice to hear. It's velvet. Yeah. Yes.
I like
Another question I wanted to ask you regarding, you know, in the KoSA we have a mission about changing the world one person at a time, mm-hmm. being with the people who are our mentors, and we learn from them. Okay. You know, for us, I won't use the word it's a spirituality, but we really believe this. We really believe drums. We believe music. Mm-hmm. Drums is the universal language, and if there are more drums on the planet, there would be less problems. That's what I believe, and I think, you know, in the big picture, how does that, in you know where you're coming from, how do you treat music as your medium, as what you do to connect with the world, as we try to do it in the KoSA mission, and we've been doing this for 19 years. I do it myself. We do it collectively, and I think most people get that. What is your approach to this?
It's funny you asked that, and I'll try to make this as brief as possible. Growing up in a church, you know, I understood the spiritual aspect before I really understood the musical aspect. I knew we were playing a song and play music, and you learn a song and drums, but it was for me, it was more about the spiritual aspect. You know, according to what we believe, you know, that what I'm doing is a rendering or a service or a offering or a gift back to the person who blessed me with it. You know, so as I play, it's kind of a way to say thank you. You know, and it's funny, as my intention in my heart and my focus and my prayer is that I seem to get this recharge back of life. Anything green, positive, you know, which the smiles, the happiness, the happy thoughts, anything that washes away anything dirty, negative, you know, heavy burdening and things like that. And I think for me, when I started playing outside of church, traveling and touring, I had to learn how to separate the two, But then again, I don't. I know how to separate it, but I choose not to. As I'm playing, what I'm playing, you're feeling. So I'd rather give you a positive vibe than a negative one. That's just me, personally, And it has no judgment or anything to do with anybody else. That's just me and how, like you said, what is my take on it. So when I play, I try my best to think about somebody else and what's going on with them and, that type of thing. So.
Right. And as we come across in many situations, musical and otherwise, we know that all the negative things that happen in the world are mostly man-made, unless nature has something to do with it.
Right.
So if we can cause grief and all the negative stuff, we can certainly do the opposite.
True.
We can do great good.
Very
right?
true. Very true.
So if we are in control of one or the other, which would you rather do? And since we have this capacity and also the ability and the understanding that if I work at this hard enough and reach as many people as possible because of where I am, and I have the microphone, that's my way of saying it.
The light, or the light, the white.
How can you do this, and how can we do this on a larger scale and reach more people to understand that without necessarily being a drummer, but we are drummers, we're musicians. And how can we be an influential force? How do you approach that in your life?
I was always told, my grandfather and my dad, they would always drill it into me. I would be somewhere and hanging with them, and, oh, hey, aren't you a drummer? Yeah, I'm a drummer. No, you're a man. Their term was, you're a man of God, a man of love and value who just happens to play the drums. Now I understand what their purpose was. They were trying to get me to understand that drums is not who I am, it's what I do. But I have to remember that I am a person, so I have to value or figure out who I am. Does that make sense? Sure. So that's where they were coming from for that. So I take the same approach. I am a human being first. You know what I'm saying? Who I am, the drums is just an extension of who I am. I'll prove it to you. When I get off the drums, you still got to deal with me. You see what I'm saying?
No, exactly. Yeah. And then, of course, everybody who comes around in your environment, in your life, professional and otherwise, has to deal with that same person. So there's certain consistency that, all of us who achieves a certain degree of balance understand that, and the more we understand that, the better. So without getting into, the spiritualism thing, but there's something that you believe in that you know. This has power, and the power to change positive. And the more of us there are, the better. In playing music, let that be the message and the common thread, the common glue, or the glue for all of us, regardless of culture and everything else. So this is really a question.
Okay. Okay.
I'm giving you material to think on. Because I know of course you come from that word, the gospel world, and this is really incredible what has happened in the past few years. That all of a sudden, massively, all these great drummers and musicians have come out of that. But that has always happened. It's not new, really.
It's not new
at all. We're more aware of it.
YouTube helped that.
Yeah, but now media. We're all the same. Really, we play the same instrument, we play the same music, with a different approach, maybe. But so does anyone else, really. But we're playing music, and it always is. That's the good. Of course, we have to take care of business.
Oh yeah.
You have to take. Dealing with money. Gotta eat. Dealing with money. Take care of business. Do something to support your family. Absolutely. Yeah. But beyond that, what you do to be more consistent in life, and to do something that remains a positive comment.
I agree. For me personally. I've had people say to me, man, you don't want to play gospel music? It's not that I don't want to play gospel music. It's just this is where I am in my life. It has nothing to do with me choosing not to play gospel music. I still play gospel music, I'm just in a different season, which causes me to be in a different space, maybe a different circle, different group. But I'll never forget my roots. You know what I'm saying? And everything that I was taught, number one, first I was taught because I didn't know, you know. And then I had to go through a period where I rejected what I knew because I wanted to know what you know. You know, the beauty is, hey, everybody knows something different. Oh, well, there's a truth in that. There's a truth in that. There's a truth in that. You see what I'm saying? So I had to always weigh every truth against the truth that I know to be who I am, you know. And I'll never forget my roots, you know. And I'm always gonna think people first. That was my roots. That's the way I was raised, you know. It's all about people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and that's important for us to keep grounded, balanced, and all of that, because there are life pressures and all of that, and we still have to work mentally, physically to be there. Another question to up and coming drummers. Well, I shouldn't say up and coming. To the musician who is interested in the art of drumming and the art of playing music.
Okay.
What are the things that you would suggest that they focus on in an order? What's first, what's second, what's third, in that kind of idea? What would you suggest or recommend?
The first step that I try to take with my students, and it's basically the way I teach, I looked at the market, and at the time where I kind of entered the market, you know, as an artist, or this is Chris Coleman, you know, I was like, what do I have to offer? I mean, there's so much great stuff out here. Everything's already been played. Everybody's fast. Everybody's, you know, this and that. Everybody's funky. I'm just like, what do I have to offer, you know? And I had to kind of basically assess myself as a person. Like, I've been a manager. I've been able to, it seems like anything I ever get into, I take it 100%, whatever it is, and I try to maximize it. It's not so much that I'm trying to be in competition or be the greatest. That's not the attitude, as much as I'm trying to beat myself. I beat myself by saying, don't give up. Like, you can master this. You can do this. Doesn't matter what it is. You can figure it out. You know, that type of thing. I guess I'm a self-motivated type person. But what I realize is I can't be a selfish person. So I got to hurry up, get me out of the way so I can help somebody or be a blessing to somebody. Do you understand? Same way that I teach is I had to learn how to take the personality out of it and just worry about the principles and the basics. Let's just work on time. Let's just perfect time and not perfect it. I'll never have it perfected, but I'll always be perfecting, ing. So let's just perfect time, the lifestyle, the art of perfecting time, constantly, better at this, better, understanding, controlling time, and manipulating time. That's what they pay me to do. So the more I do that, the less I'm focused on drums and being a drummer, and now I'm being a team player. Why? Because I'm over this. It's not an arrogant thing. It's a thing of I did it on purpose so I could be in the moment. And now, oh my God, did I play that right? Or I'm still stuck in drum world. So my offer of wisdom or suggestion or just 2 cents is to work on you and hurry up and get over it so you can get involved. You see what I'm saying? And while you're involved, you actually be there 100%. People notice that. Artists feel that. That's when you get hired. That's when you stay around.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. And it's true. I mean, you can't be the impediment. I mean, you have to bring something to the table, and it's not really about you. We are working on this project, so what you bring to the table and what you have to do to be that team player,
yes,
as you say. No, totally, totally great, and I appreciate it. And I think it's real food for thought for people to think about that. It's not about how great you can become. It's how great you can become so that you can use it in the situation.
Exactly. And that's when you become great in other people's eyes. But notice it wasn't about you.
Right.
It's almost like in order to get what you really want, you can't chase it. Does that make sense?
That's interesting.
Everybody wants the fame, the fortune. Come on, we're human. That's human nature. You know what I'm saying? No, everybody wants affection and appreciation and, to feel a part of and appreciate it. But at the same time, it's like if I'm just going to seek that, then I become selfish. It's like the more I work on myself to become this, and then somebody says, hey, man, I need you. Yeah, I got you. I got you. Let's go. Oh man, this guy. All of a sudden, that starts to spread, and it's like, man, I love having this guy around, and it's you're not doing it for that. It's the thing of it's like it's genuine. It's just who I am, you know. I like to see it come together as a team. You know, I could do it. Yeah, I could do it on my own, but who's gonna pay to just see me? It's like, you know what I'm saying? So
Right, of course, and of course the music you can't you don't play on your own. There are listeners who are actively participating with you.
Yes.
And there are people around you that you're connecting with to project this music. So it's an active, constantly active. So yeah, as you say, in the moment, it's a lot of work to do it, but it's such a great thing.
Yeah, such a great
Chris,
thing.
I thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
To be continued.
Yes, to be continued.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.